After years of a seemingly happy marriage, Rachel found herself standing before a modest casket at her father-in-law's funeral. She'd always respected the elder man, a self-made millionaire who had built his fortune from the ground up. His death was a blow to the family, but little did Rachel know that the real storm was just beginning. Her husband, David, a soft-spoken man with a heart of gold, had been closely tied to his father, both in business and spirit. As the service ended, Rachel noticed a shift in David. His demeanor darkened, the weight of loss morphing into something else, a hunger she had never seen before. He was named the sole heir to his father's $500 million estate. Within days, a lawyer's letter arrived detailing the terms of the inheritance. To Rachel's horror, David had decided to evict her from their shared home, citing the need for a fresh start after the death of his father. Feeling betrayed, confused, and heartbroken, Rachel found herself on the streets with nothing but a suitcase. With every fiber of her being, she couldn't believe David would turn against her so swiftly. Days passed, each more agonizing than the last, until she received an unexpected call from David the day after the eviction. "Rachel, I need you." David's voice trembled, barely recognizable through the phone. "What do you mean you need me?" she replied, her heart racing with a mixture of anger and concern. "You just threw me out like I was nothing." It's about the money. I think I'm in trouble," he confessed. The panic in his voice cut through her anger like a knife. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her mind racing. Was this a ploy to get her back? Was he really in danger? "There are people here, investors from the old man's business. They want me to do something I don't understand, something illegal. I didn't sign up for this." He was almost in tears. Rachel felt a wave of conflicting emotions. This was the man she had loved for years, but he had shattered her world just days ago. Yet deep inside, a part of her still cared. "Where are you?" she asked, her voice softening. "At the office. I can't go home. I don't know who to trust. They're watching me, Rachel." Without thinking, Rachel made a decision that would change everything. "I'll be there. Just stay put." When Rachel arrived at the corporate office, the atmosphere was thick with tension. David was pacing the floor, surrounded by men in sharp suits, their eyes darting around the room. She felt a rush of protective instinct as she stepped inside. "David!" she called, cutting through the murmurs. He turned, relief flooding his face. "What are you doing here?" he whispered urgently. "I'm here to help," she said, steeling herself for whatever was to come. She scanned the room, noting the men's aggressive postures and the way they seemed to tower over David, who looked smaller than ever. As they spoke, Rachel learned of the shady dealings her father-in-law had engaged in before his death. Fraudulent contracts and a looming lawsuit from a disgruntled partner. David was being coerced to take over the responsibilities, to carry on the legacy, but at a heavy price. "We have to go to the authorities," Rachel urged, her heart racing. "You can't let them manipulate you like this." David hesitated, torn between his loyalty to his father's name and his own moral compass. The men surrounding him scoffed, their faces twisted in disdain. "Listen, kid," one of them sneered, "you're in way over your head. You want to keep this fortune? You need to play ball." In that moment, something snapped within Rachel. She had spent enough time feeling powerless. "No," she said, her voice steady. "He's not doing anything illegal. You're the ones who should be afraid." David looked at her, confusion and admiration battling in his eyes. You don't know what you're asking for," the lead man said, stepping closer. "You think you can walk out of here with him?" Rachel met his gaze, unflinching. "We'll find a way out, and it won't involve a single compromise on our values." With her words hanging in the air, David took a deep breath and nodded. The shift in his stance was palpable. It was as if Rachel had handed him back the strength he thought he had lost. Together they walked toward the exit, ignoring the threats hurled behind them. Once outside, they called the authorities, exposing the corruption embedded within the family's business dealings. In a twist of fate, the scandal broke wide open, and the same people who sought to control David found themselves facing criminal charges. As the dust settled, Rachel and David stood together, arms intertwined, reflecting on how far they had come. They had fought not just for the money, but for their integrity and their love, which had survived the storm. While the future remained uncertain, they were determined to rebuild their lives together. Rachel had learned a valuable lesson about love and betrayal, about standing up for what was right, and most importantly, about finding strength in vulnerability. In the end, it was not the fortune that mattered, but the bond forged through adversity. And as they faced the horizon, hand in hand, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together.